Hi, welcome to part 1 of a video series on zigzag albums. My name is Bronwyn Eastley and I'm a papercraft artist from Australia. I'll be showing you how a basic zigzag album is assembled, and more detailed instructions and measurements can be found in the written tutorial, which you'll find a link to that in the description below. So let's get into it. You need to start off with the two covers, and I'm scoring those covers along the width at the 3/4 inch mark. These two hinge pieces will be joined together to form the spine of the album. Right, here we have the 8 pages that we need to go inside the zigzag album, and you need to put one aside because that needs to be left unscored. And you need to score the other 7 pages at the 1 inch mark. And I've just sped up the process here because you don't want to see me scoring all of those in real time. Okay, so once you've scored all the remaining 7 pages at the 1 inch mark, you can put those aside, and I'm going to work on the covers. So I need to burnish and crease and burnish the 2 cover pieces that I've scored. And I've got the front cover and the back cover that I've chosen there, and the little piece that I've chosen for the spine, and I'm going to mat those pieces on some white cardstock. But first of all, I'm going to ink up the edges because I like to do that with some ground espresso distress oxide ink. And I love using that blending tool with the dome shape there. It works really well for inking up all the edges of my paper. Oh, and I put the lid back on then I realised, whoops, I haven't done my little pattern paper piece for the spine there. So once I've got all the edges inked up, I'm ready to glue those onto their white mats. But before we do that, I just thought I would glue the 2 tabs together to form the spine of the covers. So I use art glitter glue. I like it because it's got a bit of give in it, and it's not too quick drying. It allows me a bit of wriggle room to make sure I get those pieces joined together correctly and they're nice and straight and aligned. Pretty fussy, especially when it comes to a project like this. You need to make sure that it is nice and straight. And when you do join those 2 together, and I apologise that I'm a little off camera there in some sections, just make sure that the join of your cardstock is at the back and not at the front of your album, as I'm pointing out just here. Okay. Right, now we're ready to move on. I'm ready to make a cover. I'll put the cover on, and first of all I just need to mat those cover pieces onto some white cardstock. And I chose covers that had some pattern in them, but I didn't want it to be too busy because I wanted to add some ephemera die cuts to the front cover at a later stage. So I'm just doing the back cover area now, and it's got a little bit of a plain background, which I really liked, and just a little bit of that floral pattern coming through. And my little piece for the spine just has a tiny little bit of leafy pattern on the bottom there as well, and I need to add that to the little white mat for the spine. Just makes the album a little bit more sturdier with this extra bit of cardstock on the front, back and the spine of the album. Okay, happy with that. Right, now I'm just inking up the edges for the inside pattern piece, and that's where the 3D flower box is going to be situated, and I really like the brick wall pattern for that. Just adding a little piece for the inside spine section. And as I said, all the measurements for these pieces you'll find in the PDF tutorial. Alright, now I've got my 8 pages, and that page that isn't scored, I decided that I was going to ink up the edges for that as well, because that is the same measurement as the inside piece on the left hand side, the inside pattern piece, and I just wanted it to stand out a little bit, so it created a border on the back cover there. And so that's where that back page is going to be glued. Okay, before gluing all the pages together, first of all I need to fold and burnish all those score lines that I did for the hinges on each album page. Just get a bone folder and make sure that you burnish both sides of your piece. Do that for all 7 pages that have been scored. Once again, I've just sped this up because you don't want to see this in real time, but it's an important part of the process before you assemble the pages together. Okay, now they're all nicely burnished. I'm ready to add them to the back page that is left unscored, that one that I've inked up before that actually gets glued to the back cover. So I'm just showing you here how the pages get laid on to the base. So we're alternating the sides of those hinges, and they're going to be glued down accordingly. So from right to left, and so on. So just alternating sides. And then you end up with the last piece. The last hinge will be on the right hand side of your album pages. Okay, so let's start with that first page. It's going to get glued directly onto the back page, the unscored page. And this is on the right, it will be glued to the right hand side to start off with. Once again, I'm being very particular about making sure that those pages are aligned well. And so I just glue the right one down, and then I'm going to do the same except on the left hand side this time. Once again, I apologise that I'm slightly off camera. I got a little bit too relaxed there for a while. I wasn't really watching the monitor and seeing how I was going, but I guess, I'll improve as I go along and do more YouTube videos. The right hinge is done, now one on the left hand side, just making sure it's nice and straight. Yep, and open up, and you can see how it all joins together there like a zigzag fold, or an accordion fold if you prefer to call it that. So just repeat the process for the rest of the pages, and you can see here now that they're all attached and they're ready to be glued onto the back. So that plain back piece with the hinge on the right hand side, just going to glue that back bit to the back cover of the album. I've got a 1/8 of an inch sort of margin here, so it just allows a little bit of space for the cover just to be a little bit larger than the pages. So you can see that I've joined them all down, and I'm now ready to add all the beautiful papers to that album. And here's what it looks like before I start to decorate. And I chose to use the Lavender and Roses collection from Paper Rose Studio. It's absolutely gorgeous, the colours are beautiful, and I chose them because this particular project is for my mum, and I know she loves those colours, so I'm making a little album especially for her. Here's the front and back cover before it's decorated, and the inside section there before I've put the flower box in on the inside cover. So I'm just going to run you through now what I used in that collection, Lavender and Roses collection. I actually chose to use more plain backgrounds for my album, and I chose to use more pattern pieces for those edge strips there, or those hinge pieces on the album. And I'm going to be adding more pockets and the flower box, and also the some beautiful die cuts and ephemera die cuts from the Lavender and Roses collection. So there it is, all ready to go to decorate, and that's what it looks like when you set it up. Forms a zigzag like that, and it's a great album, fun to do. And there's the front cover there, and the inside flower boxing, so I popped a little photo in already. I haven't finished putting tags or other ephemera bits in just yet, but I've made all the pockets. You can see I've inked up all the little pieces for the pockets as well, and I just used a notch punch in my envelope and bow maker to form those little notches on all the openings of all the pockets. And once again, you'll get all the instructions in my accompanying PDF tutorial. So thanks so much for watching today. I really appreciate you tuning in. Bye for now.